The mutant person leaps into the air. His terrifying face scares the passengers. The mutant bites the opponent's throat mercilessly. However, this mutant is not the only one. This human catastrophe happened on a plane. Everything starts from here. How to properly hijack an airplane. First, passengers and flight attendants pretend to argue. They attract the attention of air marshals. The police arrive and directly subdue the passengers. Then another police officer arrives to support. The flight attendant excitedly closes the curtains. He took out a sharp knife and covered his mouth and nose. He directly killed the reinforcements. An undercover passenger takes the opportunity to subdue another police officer. The flight attendant forces the location of the remaining police officers. Then he immediately informs his subordinates. His subordinates, holding knives, head towards the front row. The man silently takes his life away. He wraps it up and hands the gun to another accomplice. The plane falls into their control. The flight attendant learns that the situation is under control. He directly stabs someone in the eye with the blade. Then, the flight attendant prepares to control the economy class. His subordinates follow closely behind. The mastermind moves towards the cockpit. The flight attendant kindly reminds that entry is not allowed here. The mastermind smiles faintly. Then the co-pilot opens the door to welcome. The pilot inside had already died. The henchmen of the criminals rewrote the black box. Then the co-pilot changed the flight direction. Ground control quickly becomes aware. The co-pilot excused himself by citing machine failure. The boy, Yas, finds a hiding place using the structural diagram. He runs there despite his mother's objections. His mother, Yoli, immediately follows. But she is discovered by a flight attendant. Yoli trembles in fear. She begs for the flight attendant's mercy. The flight attendant doesn't bother to waste words. He shoots Yoli twice, killing her. He intended to kill the child as well, but his accomplice stops him. Yas is captured and cries incessantly in his seat. The flight attendant checks Yoli's bag. He finds unidentified drugs, but he doesn't think much of it and simply throws them away. At this time, the leader of the hijackers arrives. He doesn't want this madman to cause any more trouble, so he takes away the gun. Then the leader brings 3 passengers to read the doctrine. He records it on his phone and sends it to the government. It turns out they are an anti-government organization. Their goal is to carry out a terrorist attack. After they have installed the bomb, everything is ready. The flight attendant announces that the nightmare is about to begin. He says this while stepping back, but the real nightmare was not like this. Yoli, lying in a pool of blood, miraculously came back to life. Memories kept flooding into her mind. 7 years ago, on her way back home, the car suddenly broke down. Yoli's husband got out of the car to find help, but he never came back, so Yoli held her child. She followed the footprints and found a wooden cabin. There was a long trail of blood inside the cabin. At the end of the trail was her deceased husband. At that moment, a monster broke in through the window. Yoli instinctively grabbed a wooden stick and stabbed at it, but her efforts were in vain. The sun rose. The monster was burned alive. However, Yoli's hand was bitten. From then on, she started to mutate. The bitten Yoli had bloodthirsty fangs. She picked up a piece of raw meat and savagely devoured it. Yoli was a single mother. She became extremely agitated. To avoid harming her child, Yoli endured excruciating pain and pulled out her fangs. Later, she returned to the place where she was bitten to find a solution. Here, she encountered others like her. The man shot a bullet directly. He said, "We are all cursed. We can only bring disaster to the world." The old man knocked over an oil drum. He intended to burn Yoli to death. Yoli rushed forward and pushed the old man down. Then Yoli picked up a cane and killed him with it. Later, Yoli found suppressant drugs in the refrigerator. She took them all with her. Finally, she set the place on fire. 7 years later, Yoli lost all her hair. She relied on wigs, colored contact lenses, and medication. Only then did she barely pass as a normal person. Originally, Yoli was going to fly to New York for treatment, but she unexpectedly encountered terrorists hijacking the plane. Yoli took advantage of their busyness with planting bombs. Yoli went to the luggage compartment. In order to sustain herself, she cruelly drained the blood of a dog. At this moment, one of the terrorists received an order. He went to the luggage compartment to get a parachute. Suddenly, he heard a noise. He was about to investigate. Before he could react, Yoli pounced on him. Yoli was very strong. She was like a vampire. She drained the man's blood. Yoli released the vicious dog to stage a scene of death. Then she carefully made her way to the economy class. Soon, the terrorists discovered their dead comrade. He shot and killed the poor vicious dog. Yoli successfully found her son Yasu. Then she found a passenger who could fly the plane. They entered the cockpit. She originally wanted to wait until the terrorists parachuted away. They would immediately take control and land the plane. However, an observant flight attendant noticed something was amiss. He followed the bloodstains and opened the passage and found that Yoli was missing. Then, all the terrorists returned to the economy class. They discovered that Yoli was hiding in the cockpit. The boss directly grabbed a passenger and threatened Yoli to open the cockpit. The leader of the terrorists shot and killed an innocent person. He mentioned that there were still many passengers. "We have the whole night." After he captured another little girl, Yoli couldn't bear it anymore. She directly revealed her terrifying nature. She rushed towards the leader. The woman bit the leader's neck with her mouth. The horrifying scene shocked all the terrorists. No one dared to stay a second longer. The woman intended to continue her killing spree. Suddenly, the thug's body reacted. To prevent him from transforming, Yoli stabbed him in the heart with a blade. A flight attendant hiding nearby witnessed everything. Then he searched Yoli's bag again. He found out that Yoli was a vampire. The remaining accomplices were all thinking about how to escape. The flight attendant brought homemade weapons and killed him. In the eyes of the deranged flight attendant, she was a work of art. When the woman pounces on him, he directly shines the purple light on her. The female vampire couldn't resist and fell to the ground. The deranged attendant brought a syringe and drew a vial of blood from Yoli. Then he raised a spear to finish her off. At that moment, Yasu rushed out with a gun. During their dispute, a bullet shattered the aircraft window. The pressure inside the plane instantly became unbalanced. The deranged individual took the opportunity to escape. Yoli quickly pursued him after settling her son. The deranged individual locked himself in an armored vehicle. Yoli ran out of bullets. She couldn't harm the enemy at all. The deranged individual triumphantly raised a syringe. He injected Yoli's blood into his own body. He was about to undergo a mutation. Yoli quickly grabbed some strong alcohol and poured it into the vehicle. Then she ignited a fire, but she triggered the fire suppression system. At this moment, the deranged individual's accomplices arrived. Yoli had no choice but to temporarily retreat. After the deranged individual successfully mutated, he mercilessly harvested his own teammates. Yoli's appearance caused panic among the passengers. The situation instantly descended into chaos. A passenger was crushed by a box. There were even passengers trampled to death. To prevent the deranged individual from escaping, she closed the door, and she placed a heavy object on top of it. Unaware of the situation, a passenger shot at Yoli, but he was no match for her. After being knocked over, Yoli prepared to bite him. Arthur appeared just in time to stop his mother. Yoli quickly ran to the other side of the aisle. She attempted to close the door, but the deranged individual was faster. Passenger Federi rushed to help. He was unfortunately bitten. Fortunately, a savior appeared in time and repelled the deranged individual. Yoli took advantage of the situation and closed the door. To prevent the spread of the virus, she used an electrical wire to trap Federi's hand. Then she cut it off with a knife. A passenger who was injured tried to save himself through mutation, so he opened the gates to hell. After the deranged individual pushed him aside, he charged directly into the crowd. The plane instantly fell into chaos. The people in the cockpit witnessed the horrifying scene outside. They desperately held the door. Yoli believed that the plane should not land. Otherwise, it would be the end of the world. After discussing, they decided to detonate the plane with a bomb. But the remote control was in the cargo hold. The passage to the cargo hold could only accommodate one child. Yas disregarded the dissuasion and crawled into the passage. He reached the cargo hold and retrieved the remote control. But the mutated beings increased in number. Yas, frightened, dropped the flashlight. He hastily hid under the car. Yoli was very anxious seeing her son trapped. She turned her head to Federi. She entrusted him with taking good care of her son. Then she bit into the co-pilot. After replenishing her energy, Yoli rushed out directly. At this moment, the deranged individual drove away his subordinates. He wanted to savor this delicacy alone. He first used his claws to cut the rope. Then he forcefully moved the vehicle and crawled inside. Yoli arrived and dragged him out. The two immediately started fighting, but it didn't take long. Yoli was soon defeated. She was pressed against the ground and rubbed. The deranged individual bit into her neck. Her neck was about to be severed. Suddenly, Yas rushed over. After taunting the deranged individual for a few remarks, the deranged individual indeed released his grip. He slowly approached the boy. Just as he approached the aircraft door, Arthur pressed the detonator. The aircraft door was instantly destroyed. At the same time, Yoli turned around and bumped into. At this moment, sunlight poured in. Arthur wanted to get close to his mother, but Yoli mercilessly pushed him away, because she had consumed a large amount of fresh blood. Yoli was about to lose her sanity. She disregarded her son's cries. Yoli left him in the sunlight. Then the plane landed on the ground. Yas was taken back by armed special police. He said there were vampires on the plane, but no one believed him. Everyone believed it was a terrorist hijacking, but they waited until evening and there was no movement, so the special police launched a raid. At this moment, Fadilai was still in the cockpit. He walked unsteadily towards the cargo hold. He wanted to manually detonate the bomb. The special police noticed and took him out. On the other hand, Yas was taken to the ambulance. Taking advantage of the medical staff's inattention, he jumped out and ran towards the airport. When Yas arrived, the mutants on the plane woke up. All SWAT police were wiped out. Some mutants even jumped off the plane. Among them was Yoli. At this moment, Yoli's pupils completely changed color. She had completely become a bloodthirsty monster. She sprinted towards Yas. Arthur knew she was no longer his mother. He took out the remote control from the teddy bear and pressed the switch. The explosion engulfed the entire plane in flames. The boy saved the world, but he couldn't save his own mother. The movie ends here. This movie is called Blood Sky Catastrophe. The monster's appearance is terrifying enough. The pacing of the plot is smooth and reasonable. The movie has high-quality portrayal of family relationships. The various performances of the passengers are spot on. They have different postures. Their mindsets are also different. The details of the description are accurate. There are also many scary scenes. Interested viewers can watch the original film. That's it for this episode of the movie. See you in the next episode.